I met Shon Duty at the last REMA conference in Vegas, not really knowing much about the history of his business, ScrapRight. It didn't take long before I knew I had to get him and his family on this podcast to talk family, talk scrap, and talk about the courage it takes to run a family business when so many family members are involved. I hope you enjoy this conversation as much as I did. Thank you for tuning in to another Scrap Life episode of Generational Courage.
Welcome to A Scrap Life.
All right, I'm back. Another episode of Scrap Life podcast. These are probably one of my favorite ones. No offense, Chad and the guys that do the copper trade and the ferrous trade. I mean, I love talking scrap, but I probably more than I love talking scrap, I love talking family business. And just what the ins and outs of what it takes to operate and run a family business. And I ran into Shon Duty at ISRI, REMA, whatever you want to call it, down in Las Vegas this year, and we were talking.
Depends on how long you've been going, right?
Yeah, exactly. You know how it goes. From my research, you've been going, since about 06 at least with ScrapRight. So
that was my first one.
Yeah. So I did a little homework on you, Shon. But so long story short, like I was talking to Shon, he's like, yeah, this is like who's in the business, and I have my daughters now, and they're kind of they're taking it and running with it, going to the next level. And I love that. And I was like, okay, man, we're going to get a podcast set up. We're going to get it done. And that was in March, April. And here we are in damn near August, and we're going to get it done. So I'm super excited. Looking forward to talking to Shon Duty, Montana Duty, Kaila, Burkett, and and we're going to fire this thing up. So thank you guys for coming
Awesome.
out and talking scrap and talking family business.
Thank you for having us.
Excited.
So in my research, like very light, but I think it's important, and it sounds like in 06 is kind of when you guys kicked off ScrapRight. Is that correct, Shon?
New Orleans, ISRI convention in 06. I started a little bit before that in getting into the scrap business and learning about the scrap business and talking to scrap yards and scrap yard owners, and but very, very little bit ahead of that, like maybe 2, 3, 4 months before the convention, and really got exposed in New Orleans.
Okay. So in 06, I mean, 06, the scrap market, I started full-time. I've been in the business my entire life, but in 04 is when I started full-time, when I got done with my undergraduate. And then from 04 to 06, the market was just kind of starting to be okay. It was starting to climb and get better. Obviously, from 06 to 08 was like the run of all runs, right?
Boom. Yeah.
But those years, even 04 to 05 weren't like great, like scrap years. 06 was like an okay year.
Yeah.
What made you decide to go and get into this business? Like, I mean, from my like looking at it, looks like you were in the military, police.
Yeah.
That was kind of your background a little bit. So
and that was my whole goal, by the way. When I went in the military police, my whole goal was like, do that, get out, use my GI Bill to go to school, and then after going to school, I wanted, FBI, DEA, something like that. That was my path. And got in the military, met my wife, who I think Kaila put in her notes so aptly that she's the glue that holds all of this together.
Yeah.
Met my wife when I was in the military, and we kind of came back to her home in Pennsylvania when I got out, and never made it to school. I ended up in the car business. Uniquely, I ended up spending 10 years in retail, and did really, really well. Got recruited out of the car business by Zurich, an insurance company, to the car business. And then after Zurich, I've been basically still at the end of the life of the car business in the scrap business. So that's kind of my whole path right there.
Yeah. So if you go from insurance business to scrap software, at some point in that stop, do you ever own a yard? Do you ever buy, sell scrap? What's that story look like?
Yeah, we did. We had in like 14, 15, 16, I think I got those years right. We had Redemption Recycling in Waynesboro, Pennsylvania. And we already had ScrapRight. I wanted a demo facility where we could let customers come in and see the software in action. And then also all of the hardware. We had unique hardware that we build for the industry, specific kiosks that we build, and the ATMs, and then all of the other hardware, the cameras and the signature pads and fingerprint, all of that stuff that's needed in the scrap business. And so we had a place where all of that was going to be in operation, but it was a for profit, legit
Yeah.
business. It didn't need to do a ton, but it needed to support itself. And so, yeah, I was out there climbing in the 40-yard container and looking over our loads as they went out, and we did that for like I said, just shy of 3 years.
14, 15 were tough years in the business.
Oh,
I mean, I
yes.
probably don't have to explain that to you because you got to live it, but
Yeah.
man, those are years that I mean, I remember, end of 08, 09. Like the good years are easy for me to forget, but you don't ever forget those tough ones, right?
Yeah.
Because you're just trying to, like when people say, hey, Brett, how you doing? I said, man, I'm just trying to keep the lights on. Like literally, like there's a lot of years like there, you're
Right.
just literally trying to keep the lights on. And I feel like those 15, end of 14, 15, 16, they were like trying to keep the lights on years.
That's the kind of years though that mold you, you know? I mean, you
1000%.
literally learn who you are and what those tough times are gonna, how you're gonna operate. The good times, that's easy. The
Anybody
hard
can make
times,
money when the scrap price is high, right? I mean, I'm not
yeah,
unless you're just a terrible operator, but I
right,
mean, it's a doable deal. I mean, you don't have to be. If I can make money, like if I'm not no rocket science, if I can figure it out, I'm sure most people can
right,
figure it out, right?
right,
So
right.
your daughters, they to me appear young. So I'm trying to figure out like what at what point now. So we kind of went through like your history. Obviously, we'll get back into it, after you went through having actual your yard. But at what point do Kaila and Montana come into the picture? Because
So I mean, they were always apart, but not as much as they are now. So, I mean, I can remember before we even opened up the scrapyard, Kayla and Montana came into our office space. We had our very first office space, right? Because I built the company out of my basement. Literally, I worked 3 days in the car business, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, for a car dealer that hired me on as a consultant. And then Wednesday, Thursday, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, trying to dig this company out of the dirt. But I can remember we got our first office space, and Kayla Montana came in, and they all of a sudden they bring me this picture. Now I have it framed now, but they took the because we had our very first copy machine, and they
yeah,
put their faces all down in the copy machine, and made heart signs and all this stuff.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so they were always there and
You were
always
probably
had,
what? Like I was probably 15.
yeah, right. Like receptionist
Yeah.
and I think Montana even did some cashier at the
I
scrapyard,
was the full-time cashier.
Oh, I
right?
love it. I love it.
Right?
Yeah.
So they were always, but now, fast forward, and Kayla's husband Brandon had worked for me, but was gone for 5 years. Went to work for a really big software company, and so I approached him, and I was like, "We got to make some changes. I mean, I got some choices to make going forward, and I can do it either way. But if we go this way, we go the family route, I'm going to need you to come back." And I didn't think he was going to. Kayla didn't think he was
I
going
did
to.
not.
And yet he did. And so Montana's husband works for me as well. And they all four of them have roles in the company in leadership. And but at that point, that's when Kayla became the marketing director. Brandon became the COO of the company, her husband. Zach moved from sales. He was in sales at that time and moved over into the director of support. And Montana took over customer success. She's getting ready to make some some even bigger moves, but right now she's the director of customer success.
I
What
love
I
it.
find really interesting about that part of the journey, if I can just add to that,
Please do.
is what's really cool is we Montana stayed with ScrapRight, so her journey has been, evolving with ScrapRight the entire way, which really leads her into this customer success role because she has grown with the customers all this time. And then Brandon had this ability to go and work at this huge tech company and learn the ins and outs there. Meanwhile, I was a photographer and running my own photography business. So we kind of all had these paths that like brought us to this point where we all needed to be at this stage in the journey. So it's just really cool how fate, God, how all of this has just brought us to this point
Yeah.
where we're all ready for it.
Which
And each of them in their own unique roles that they're very, very talented to be able to be in.
because I think in a family business, if I grew up in a very like a small family business. So I watched my dad, my uncles, my aunt, my grandparents, my mom, everybody worked for the business, right?
Yeah.
Like that's I mean, and then as the years went by, my uncle left to go drive concrete truck, and my one uncle, my other uncle, my dad's brother, he ended up going and running a muffler, like car repair business. But at the point, there was like my uncle was the mechanic, my dad was like the operator, truck driver, my grandpa was the CEO or the boss, my grandmother worked the scale, my mom was the on the accounting side with my grandfather, and it just kind of like that's how it all. But everybody had a very clear cut lane,
Yeah.
and by all means, like there was plenty of trouble in paradise half the time, right? Like there was a lot of tough conversations. There was a lot of like we're not talking to Uncle so and so right now because he's a fucking asshole. I'm like, okay, like I get it,
Uh-huh.
like. And
Uh-huh.
there's a lot of like tough
Family
Thanksgivings,
business.
right? But
Yeah.
no matter what, like, and now I see how my dad interacts with his siblings, and both my grandparents on that side have passed away, but they all get along well. But it wasn't, but it was a lot of just like we're all trying to make just trying to make it work. I mean, there wasn't a lot of money to be made, or at least to be split up at the end of the day, other than everybody got their payroll check. Like we're doing good, right?
Yeah.
So, but there was a lot of years there, and I got to witness it firsthand. So I was, now I don't. It makes it easier for me to not take for granted like what it took to get there, right? And so I don't really
Absolutely.
take my situation for granted because I watched a lot of tough years. But I think what made it work is everybody had a very clear role, which is what you guys just defined. Like
Yeah.
everybody has like their lane, and I've kind of taken that and pushed that forward with now the guys that operate our business. Is like we're not necessarily brothers by blood, right? But we are very like lane oriented. Like your lane's over there, yours is here, yours is here. Stay the fuck out of mine, and we'll get along, right?
That's
And
Kayla's favorite saying, by the way.
yeah.
Yeah, I love to say,
we
Stay in your
stay in
lane.
our lanes,
Yeah,
please.
and there's going to be some crossover. Like if one wants to
Yeah.
take vacation, we need some help, right? Or if you had
That's
an
right.
idea, like I'm willing to listen. But like you asked me to do
Yeah.
this, this is my thing, and I think
Yeah.
that's super important. And it's even more important in a family business because there's you're it's more there's more at play in the back of my mind, like when I think about it, than just what are you doing today, right? It's like where are we trying to get to as a family? And so Kayla, what did you do before? Yeah, you were a photographer, and what kind of made you? Was it your husband wanting to get involved, like on the SaaS, the software side, and that brought you in, or what really brought you back into the business?
I actually came back a few months before my husband. So I had dealt with chronic illness for a few years. And prior to that, I was actually working at a cannabis dispensary and I was doing head of shipping and inventory there, which I actually came back on and started running shipping and inventory here. And then I
Which was
dealt
a mess at the time, by the way.
Yeah, before now it feels like it's a little more legal than it was then.
Yeah, yeah. So I did that for a while, really loved it, was doing photography as well, and then dealt with some chronic illness, had a POTS diagnosis, so couldn't be super physically active, and then did a lot of recovery to get through that. And then I was like, I'm ready to go back to work. And I had heard them talking about some areas here that were struggling at that time. And I was like, bring me in, I got that. I can do it. Let me
Yeah.
do it. So I just jumped in and
Put
came
me
back.
in, coach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. All hands on deck. And
Yeah.
so your husband then, Kayla, what is his role in ScrapRight?
So he's chief of operations. He works heavily in the development path for the company. So he's super in touch with the developers, what's coming up next, working on new projects, all of those things, and then handling operations, all of that day-to-day stuff as well.
Is his mind boggled like mine and about this whole AI and like what's
Goodness.
actually what's available, what everybody's now capable of at at the
Yeah.
touch of
So
their
you know that like chart where it's like the chaotic neutral or the neutral evil or the whatever. Brandon is like a true neutral. If
uh-huh.
I Does that make sense to you
Yeah,
guys too?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Neutral.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
which makes him perfect for his role. But so his view of AI is kind of different from everybody's because I utilize it in ways, but I can be a big hater of it too. There is a lot of AI slop out there that's just like frustrating.
Yes.
But Brandon definitely sees it as like this powerful tool that is great to be utilized. But then every other day I hear him talking about, oh, well, I see why people shouldn't be running their entire company on AI and like all these errors you find. So I think he sees it as a tool to be used, but a tool, not the backbone of your company.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And we don't have like an AI guru or anything in our business. Like there's no job title of AI person. Like I see some of these businesses, right?
Yeah.
But we use it. Our CFO, I mean, he's smart. He's good, really good at what he does, and that's
Yeah.
why he's the CFO, and that's why I'm not. But he's implemented some AI and just use it as a tool, like to create our dashboard and
Mhm.
for so I can look at view whether it's our load board or what's going on. And we just really have implemented AI as just a tool in the business, no different than an excavator or a mobile shear, right? It's not
Yeah.
your
Absolutely.
business. It's just a
Right.
piece to kind of help you sharpen your, sword as a whole, right? And I
Yeah.
feel like we're not there yet. This is my 2 cents, but there is a lot of stuff that could be really, really valuable if you have somebody that knows their way around it and can
Right.
operate it. So
Yeah.
I believe like the people like your husband that are really deep in that tech, they're the smart ones, like the ones that are very capable, use it for what it is today. Not that someday it can't be something bigger, but it's like anything, right? Like the computer was going to change the world, or the tractor was going to eliminate a zillion jobs, and
Yeah.
it's no different. Like I feel like it's
Agreed.
actually should be a big benefit to everybody as a whole, as long as people don't get too scared of it, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So your husband's at work right now, right, while you guys are on this podcast with me, right?
Yeah. He's
But
gonna love hearing me talk about his opinions on
yeah,
things.
no, I bet. So we talked about him. So your day-to-day role now is like what does your day look like, Kayla?
Yeah, so it really varies. So I run marketing. So all of our social content, videos, static image, all of those things. And then, also like marketing for events or anything like that, magazine ads, all of those things. But then I also still manage our shipping and inventory as well. We have someone else that is there as well. But like you said, with like a family owned and operated business, sometimes we're bouncing around in those roles. So
Yeah.
if our new shipping and inventory person who also does the onboarding process is out, then my day might look different because I might need to come in and handle some shipping and inventory for customers and then bounce back into the role of marketing. So it's like ever evolving, I feel like in a family company. Your day is I sometimes wish I could have a day where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna wake up and 9 a.m. I'm gonna do this and 10 a.m. I'm gonna do that, but I don't think it really ever goes like that.
No, but
So
if
It's
you're a true artist, you don't want that.
it
Like,
keeps
because
it
you'd
interesting.
drive you crazy. Like,
Yeah,
because
would get
I
bored.
feel like artists, like, they like to have like we always like the grass is always greener on the other side. We were like, man, it'd just be nice to like have I could wake up at go to work at 9, I could leave at 5, and then I don't have to worry about anything until
Right.
9 a.m. tomorrow. And then you would do that for like 2 days. You'd be like, screw this. Like I want like some chaos. Like I think
Yeah,
we
and I say that, but then, you'll find me on a Saturday deciding that I'm going to create merch for the Scrap Sisters because I thought of an idea. So now I'm 3 hours deep, and my husband's like, "Are you going to be done with that?" And I'm like, I'm in the zone. I can't stop now.
I
Like my
know.
brain wants to do this now, so I'm going to do it now.
I love it. I love it. And so was it whose idea was Scrap Sisters on the marketing side? Is that a you and Montana's a combo? Who came up with the idea?
Honestly,
I will tell you, I came up with the name.
Uh-huh.
did you really? I can't even. So that day was a
Yes.
blur. That day was
Uh-huh.
honestly a blur. We were going to, and I'll let Tana talk about it too, but we were going to a scrapyard the first time as Next Gen, as the whole team of us coming together. And we were in the car, and that viral video was going on with the when I wake in the
Nicki
morning and I
Minaj.
step outside, the Nicki
Yeah.
Minaj sound. And we
Easy.
were like, we should do that. Like, what if we did like an A/B experiment? We did our normal ScrapRight advertising, but then we threw in this like,
Fun.
viral fun content and see what performs better. And so we made it, we loved it, and we were like, well, what if we just like make our own account? And it literally just happened. And then that video got 100,000 views, and we were like, oh, this is a thing now. Like we do
Yeah.
this.
I love it. I love it. So it was a combo. It was a combo idea.
But Tana's story might be a little different because that day was a blur. So
Yeah,
Okay.
it
Okay,
honestly,
Montana. I'm gonna let you have your chance to
it's
tell your
okay.
side of the like this
Um,
is family business. Like there's always two sides of the story, maybe three.
normally
depending
it's a
on-
lot. Normally we're interjecting on each other all the time, so you're not in
You guys
the
are doing good then. You're doing good.
um
So give me a
yeah,
little bit of background,
very
Montana.
much a whirl, like a whim. It was like a 2.5 hour car ride probably, and we're just, it was like that was literally Brandon's first week back as COO. So it was like his first week back. So like everybody was just like, we're like on a high, like,
yeah.
yeah, we're gonna blow up dad's company, like this is gonna be great. So we were all
Uh-huh.
just like so excited. So we were like, yeah, like let's just do it. Let's just make a funny video in the scrapyard. And we did, and then it blew up, and we are like, okay, well, like we could do just some fun stuff. And like somebody commented on it, like I can't even remember what the comment was, and then we like did like a clapback video. They were like, "Oh, not even a speck of dirt on them." So we literally like rubbed dirt on our face and like put the video back. Um, and then we were like, "But like, what else could we do with this? Like, can we make this more of a, I don't want to say movement, but not just like we don't have any aspirations to be like these like influencers or like just TikTok viral. Like we really just want to hit our niche of people of like
Yeah.
being in front of the right people." And then I went to Consumers Night, and at this point we still were like just kind of like having fun with it. And I went to Consumers Night in St. Louis, and like so many people were like, "Hey, we saw your video," and I was like, "This is weird."
Yeah.
Um, and one of the people that I talked to, they were like, "You really should hone into this. This could be like a pretty cool, like fun thing for scrap people to watch. Like it's different, it's unique. Like you guys really should tap into this." So then we were like, all right, what can we do? Like just bring visibility to women. So we like want to get on the podcast scene, and like interview other women in the industry and like hear about how they got to where they are. And then she's wearing one of our merch shirts of something that we have. Um, so just kind of coming up with some ideas, but it was definitely just a off the wall whim idea.
The one thing I like about you guys, like I will say, is like I'm very opposed to the word, like I like the word scrap, right? And part of it's just because like that's like my history and that's where I come. That's like how I cut my teeth. Like recycled materials is great. Like I get it. I mean, I've had this conversation multiple times, and I get the why that word combination exists in our industry because when you are talking to legislators or whoever, right, you need to kind of be able to like there's a difference between talking to your grandmother and then talking to your buddy at the bar, like having a cocktail. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
get it, right? But like in general, like when I'm talking to people like in the industry, like they're passionate about the same shit as me, like scrap, like that's the word, right? And so that's one thing I've appreciated. Like you guys haven't tried to like, you stuck with it, and not only have you stuck with it, like you embrace it, right? Like
Yeah.
you got the merch and everything else, like as do I. And so,
We
did
actually had a
you?
conversation about this at one point. Because I don't remember where we were, who was talking, but they were like, let's use the word recycled materials, those types of things. And Kayla was like,
That
we
was
can't.
news to me. Like I
Yeah,
didn't
she had no
realize
idea.
that
She
was
just
a
always
thing.
said scrap. And I knew that recycled materials was like what, because like I went to like the Day on the Hill in Harrisburg, and like, so obviously there I used the correct,
Nomenclature.
I guess PC,
Yeah,
would that be the word?
yeah,
PC.
yeah,
Oh yeah, it's definitely
Um,
PC.
and so, but I feel like in our normal talks we do say scrap. But Kayla's like, we can't be the recycling sisters. Like it has to
Recycled material
it has
sisters.
to
That
say
doesn't
scrap sisters.
yeah.
sound right.
Oh,
Well, you grew up. I mean, from the way I understand it, I mean, you kind of grew up in the business, as did I. I mean, at least when you're old enough to understand what was going on in the world, you were surrounded by the scrap business
Yeah.
for the most part, right? I mean, and I feel like if you've worked the cashier register at a scrapyard, it doesn't get more scrappy than that,
I
right?
can remember like I was like the full time. So I was like 7 a.m. to 3, I think. And then a
Uh,
girl came in from like 3 to 7. But I can remember having like a wooden baseball bat underneath the desk because like you just
yeah.
didn't know what was going to happen. And there was definitely some interesting characters, but it was fun. I loved, so funny backstory, when I was a kid growing up,
Uh-huh.
like it went a little too far than me being a kid. But when I was like 7, 8, 9, I really wanted to be a cashier when I grew up. Like I wanted to work at a grocery store and
Yeah. Yeah.
cashier. So then I was like fulfilling my dream to be a cashier and be able to do all of that. So I actually
Like
really loved it.
this went so far as to that our parents saved all of the empty boxes of groceries for her so she could
Oh
like
yeah.
tape them
Yeah.
shut. Like she didn't want
My
Yeah.
things.
dad got me a scanner, like I could
Oh
scan
yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I really loved it. But yeah, dad, in 2006, I would have been, what, that would have been 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would have been 11, almost 12. So I really did kind of grow up in it. I mean, I can remember my dad, like I always say, like when I was in middle school, high school, like I mean, he came to some sporting events, but it was very few and far between because at that point he was building ScrapRight. So he was selling, he was installing, so he was gone pretty
Traveling.
much
Yeah.
Yeah.
like
Oh,
and that's when everybody did on-site installs. So like all of our customers, he went and installed them. So it was me and my mom. My sister was in college at that point. So and then I can remember going on a couple times like with my dad to a yard and like seeing it and all of that. So it was fun. It's been fun kind of seeing the company grow. And I've kind of grown up in the company. So
Yeah.
it is interesting.
So I used to work, I for the longest time I would just hang out in the office when it was just my grandfather, my grandma worked the scale, and then my mom would work in the office, and then my dad was outside. So even on Saturdays, like we worked every Saturday, right? 8 to 12, like as far back as I can ever remember. Like so I would watch Saturday morning cartoons in the scrapyard in my grandpa's office, like because my mom would haul us down there because we weren't old enough to stay at home by ourselves, and we'd watch cartoons from 8. She'd buy us some milk or a donut or something. We'd sit in there and watch cartoons until noon, then we all went home. And then as I got older, I could count the coins out of the pop machine, the candy machine, and I would count that and put it in rolls and then put it in the cash register. And then the next phase for me is I worked in the recycling center, and then I could actually like buy cans, buy copper, and like run the cash register, right? So I've been doing this my whole life. I've never really thought anything different, right? So even when my wife and I were dating, I still worked Saturdays. So I'd be like, even if we went out on Friday night and got pretty intoxicated, and I still had to show up and go to work, right? So I'd come back to work, and she came down and visited me one Saturday, and at the office, and I was running the scale house, and some guy walked in, and he's a pretty rough guy, and I was sitting there paying him out for his load of tin, and his tooth fell out on the counter, right? And my wife was like, "What in the fuck? What do you do?" Like we were just dating, she didn't really know like a lot
Yeah.
about like she
That's
knew like I
funny.
worked at a scrapyard. She didn't know
Yeah.
the extent to it or whatever. And I was like, she goes, "Is that common? Like people will just their teeth will fall." I was like, "No." Like I go, "That's kind of like an anomaly. Like that's a like a I haven't that's the first one I've seen their actual tooth fall out on the counter. You just got lucky today, right?" But it's like the things you see
Oh yeah.
operating like the cash register or on the buy side of a scrapyard is wild, right? You get to see people that
Mhm.
are very well to do, they have money, they're not worried about what they're getting paid. And you see people, they're just trying to get enough money to buy a hamburger, right? For dinner.
Right.
Like
Right.
or crack or whatever
Yeah.
their vice of choice is, right? And so you get all the walks of life. And that's one thing I've always like appreciated. So when I go out and go to a restaurant or I go to in public, like I've seen all those people, right? I've seen like that. So it doesn't really phase me a lot just because I grew up in that. And that's the beautiful thing I think about the scrap business is you get the full range of people, you know?
Mhm.
And so I think I have a lot of respect for anybody. And I tell people in our business, if you want to learn the business, work the scale, work the cash register, because you learn the people, you learn like how to buy stuff, you learn how to talk to people, you learn how to negotiate, you learn how to you get customer service, you get all the all the things. So I have a tremendous amount of respect for anybody that's ever done that
Yeah.
job because
Yeah.
I just know what it takes to do that job.
Yeah.
You
I think
definitely
it's
see all
interesting.
walks. That's for
You
Yeah, I
sure.
think
do. You
like
do.
you're talking about like the wide variety of people that come in. It's even crazy like for us like the wide variety of different types of yards you can see. Like you can
Yeah.
see like a junkyard or you can see, like I was at a yard yesterday and like it was spotless. Like it was so clean. Like the office building was they were moving a massive amount of metal and I was like, it was probably one of the biggest like yards that I've seen in person. Like
Uh-huh.
seeing like they had so many material handlers and pieces of equipment, and I'm just like, so many people don't like when you just say like, oh, I'm going to visit a scrap yard. They just envision, what most people envision when you say that, and they
Yeah.
don't
Stanford and
realize,
Son.
Yeah.
yeah, they don't
So that
realize
like
like how intense the operation actually is.
and that is the counter argument, right, to the word scrap is like it doesn't lend to those yards, right? And I
Yeah.
get that.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I totally understand that. But I also say like, it is marketing. It's both ways are marketing, right? I mean,
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
totally understand. You need, and I'm an and guy. Like I'm a like more is better. So like let's use both. But like it's gonna
Right.
be hard. It's gonna be hard for me to like get off the word
Right.
scrap. Yeah. So
Yeah,
I want
sure.
to kind of move. So obviously, like Montana, you're working in the office at the scrapyard. You guys must make a family decision or a decision to exit the actual scrap business. In
Yeah.
what year would that be? 15?
15 or 16, we
15?
had a large scrapyard in the town next to us, right? Seriously considering us for their software. And they put us in their one yard, which is just outside of Harrisburg. They were looking at us for their main yard with their shredder and all of that. And they were like, Shon, I can't do it. You can't have access to like everybody that I sell to, the
Yeah.
prices that I get. I can't have you having access to all that and be my competitor in the next town over. Just
Yeah.
can't do it.
Which
And
makes
so
total sense. Yeah.
it was a combination. So a little bit of complete transparency from me here. It was a combination of two things. It was that we wanted to exit because we saw how customers saw that was like a conflict.
Uh-huh.
But at the same time, my wife, again, who we've said kind of keeps this thing, she keeps us in the black, she keeps us running, right?
Yep.
And she suspects that something's not right. Like we had a guy that was running our office and running our finances, and we met him, my wife and I met with him every single Tuesday. He laid out the finances in front of us every single Tuesday, and she's like, something's not right. And I was like, babe, come on. No, things are awesome. Things
Yeah.
are phenomenal.
Foreshadowing. Normally she's always right. So he
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got one. I had a mom like that. I know. But good, yeah,
Uh-huh.
I feel it.
Well, she came in one Saturday. We're out working in the scrapyard, and she came in and she looked over everything, and she's like, she comes out and talks to me, and she says, "We've got $5,000 in across all of our bank accounts, and payroll's due next week. Something's not right." We had a sit down with the guy, and we found out that every single Tuesday he was lying about the numbers. He fabricated them, just made them up. And so it was a combination. It was we exited for two reasons. One, because it was a conflict with our potential customers, and ScrapRight was certainly our primary business. But two, because this guy put us in a financial position where we needed to exit the scrapyard,
Yeah.
unfortunately. So yeah, and actually some backstory too. I wanted to share was that when I brought Kaila and Montana in, and we put the next gen branding on ScrapRight, and we came to Rima, and we're like, opening up this new thing. We've got this new crew, young, youthful, exciting, energetic, new vision, new, all of this stuff. And I'm saying, and we're saying, they're the third generation, right? My
Yeah.
dad had a software company. I worked for my dad for a couple of years. Family businesses being family businesses that didn't go the greatest
Yeah.
at the ending. And so I ended up leaving. I went back into what I was doing for Zurich, but I did it for myself.
Mhm.
And which is how I ended up at that car dealership. And I started getting blown up like by all of these customers. You've got to, what are we supposed to do now that you're gone? And blah, blah, blah. Anyways, so decided to jump back in it. And anyways, it's like the girls, they're third gen. So
Yeah.
we're going to rebrand as next gen. I end up posting a picture that my grandmother had given me right before she passed. I post this picture, and it's of me in a stroller. I'm 1 years old, 1968, in a stroller, and I post it, and I don't even remember what I posted it about, but I posted and put some kind of a story with it, and then I said, and my mom commented on it, and I asked my mom, I said, what was I even doing there anyways? Why was I? Because my grandmother had written, it was like, talk about like prophecy. She had written on the bottom of the Polaroid picture, Shon Duty, used car salesman, 1968. And then, of course, I end up in the car business my whole entire life and the
Yeah.
scrap business. But it says on the car, on the hood of a car, it's painted Paradise Auto Wreckers. And I said to my mom, I said, what were we even doing there?
Yeah.
She said, oh, your grandfather's owned that. I was like, whoa, you never thought to say anything to me about that?
Yeah.
We've been doing this since the 60s? I had no idea.
Yeah.
And so actually the girls are actually fourth generation now, and we've been doing this like since the 60s.
So there's a couple things, and I was over here scribbling myself notes because I'll forget, but that I want to touch on of what you just said, 'cause I think it's super important. It has, and it all relates. Bear with me, but I think
Yeah.
it all relates back to family business dynamics and like where you guys are trying to get to, right? And where you guys are going. So the first is theft in our industry, right? If you've ever been in the scrap business for very long, you're going to face theft. It's going
Yeah.
to be from your employees. It's going to be from your customers. It's going to be from the gates closed at night. Like everybody's faced it. Everybody's seen it.
Yeah.
And I think you guys have that unique experience that because you have been in the industry, not just as a SaaS company, not just as a software company, you've actually physically operated a yard. You should anyways have a very unique feeling, approach, like understanding of what that looks like
Yeah.
and how to deal with it, right?
Yeah.
So I
For
feel
sure.
like we don't know the lessons that we're learning at the time are going to be lessons that are going to like really help us develop our business down the road. But I feel like for you, like that's probably was a big one and probably something that you can speak to customers about because
Yeah.
you've lived that life and like this is
Yeah.
what we do as a company to help you protect yourself from those situations, right?
100%.
Am I
100%.
And so the next thing is like, and this is more on the next gen part that you're discussing, and I do want to get into that, is because I've watched it happen and I've been a part of it, is exiting out of a family business, right? And whether it's exiting because you want to go do something different, or whether it's exiting because it's time for the next generation to take over,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And run the day to day and be the face of the company and whatnot. And I feel like I see a lot of similarities between like you and my dad. You're probably a little more of a salesman than my dad was. My dad was always very good with people, but one thing I've always appreciated about my dad, and I will, to the day I die, I will always say that if it wasn't for my dad giving me the opportunity to just take the ball and run with it, I would
Yeah.
never be in the position I am today. And I think where that came from is my grandfather did not give that to my dad, right? It was
Yeah.
his company until he basically had his second heart attack, right? And so until finally somebody had to run the deal. And then that was when my dad struck the deal with Schnitzer Steel to sell 50% of the business to exit my grandfather and try and get him to retire. But it wasn't like, hey, here's the deal, go
Yeah.
run with it, right? My dad was
Yeah.
either you let me buy you out or I'm fucking out of here. Like those are the two options. Like I'm
Right.
not doing it anymore, right? So I think, and I don't know the history of your dad and the software business, but I also think it goes back to lessons like we just talked about. Like I hope, or at least what it appears to me, like outside looking in, is there's probably some lessons you learned with your father and that business and how that deal ended up as a
Yeah.
family business
Yeah.
that I assume you're taking with you as a father and a
Very,
family
very, very,
business.
very similar to what you said with your dad's situation. My dad was like, there was always this discussion that, I'm the oldest son and that I was going to be taking over. And and then he just never wanted to let it go. I mean, there was definitely, you work in a family business. So there was definitely an Orange County chopper kind of vibe.
Yeah, oh
So,
yeah. Yeah. I got some
sometimes,
stories like that. I know that feeling.
yeah.
Yes.
But outside of that, I would say that there was definitely some lessons learned for sure. There was a lot of lessons learned from my dad and from how he operated the company and learned how, what to do and how to do things and how to navigate. And maybe sometimes those lessons are learned from areas that you see like I'm gonna learn how to not do something.
Yeah, so that's my question. Like, what's the one
Yeah,
lesson you've learned that you appreciated that your dad like showed you as a family
yeah,
business operator? And what's the one thing you're gonna do differently? Like, give me the two, give me like the yin and the yang
yeah. Oh, I would say
of
the
that.
one thing that my dad was very big on. I think that somewhere he stepped away from it, but he was very big on, and that was he called it. How did he say it? Was like evolve or die or something like that, right? So meaning you had to reinvest in the business, you had to reinvest in the technology, you had to continually be growing. So from that side of it, I definitely learned that. On the other side of it, I learned that the customer, you have to take care of the customer. That was an area that my dad was like, he was burned, I guess, so many times. And so he was like, no, they're lying, they're liars, and I'm like,
Yeah.
you gotta take care of them. I mean, so the customer service aspect of what ScrapRight does today, where we never, ever, ever start a conversation with, no, this is you. It's not us. It's not
Yeah.
our software. It's you. It's your hardware. It's your network. It's your user. We never do that. And so I learned on the opposite side, I learned that good customer service, old school, doing it the right way, doing the right thing the right way for the customer. And of course that's where our name came from. That's where the ScrapRight name came from, was selling it right, servicing it right, supporting it right, building it right, the right technology. And so the two, those are the two kind of opposing things
Yeah.
that we definitely
Because you're always
picked
going
up.
to get both sides, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'll give you mine, and then I would love to hear from Kaila and Montana, like, their take on it. But,
They
like
probably have some big ones for me.
yeah, which is like, I mean, at the end of the
Yeah.
day, I don't need this to be a counseling session, but it's like, hey, like, let's talk about it. Like, but
Right.
I think that a lot can be learned, like, from both sides. I watched my grandfather make it very difficult for my father. And my grandpa was just old school. He's a sixth grade education
Yeah.
guy. He started from the dirt, and he built a business, and it wasn't a huge business, but it was his business. And my grandmother worked beside him, worked the scale for how many years, right? And so
Yeah.
I think he just had a hard time ever, like, really letting go of that.
Sure.
But I think that my dad was obviously passionate about what he did, and my grandfather, I don't know that he could see that, right? Because he was just too busy trying to just literally keep the lights on and
Yeah.
keep his whole family fed, because you weren't making a lot of money. You were just trying to keep fucking payroll
Yeah.
taken care of, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when you have a family that they all work there, like, they all kind of count on you to make sure you can keep payroll moving, as you guys
Exactly.
well know. Like, this isn't
Exactly.
like rock. This isn't news to you.
Yeah.
Um, so I think, like, with my dad, and I'm gonna speak more from, like, what I could have done differently. Is like, what I appreciate about my dad is he could see my passion for the industry, and he pretty much, like, we got into a ton of, like, Orange County chopper-ish type conversations, right? Because when I graduated '04, I had ideas of what I want to do and how I want to grow the business. And, like, I was the first person in my family to ever go to college. Aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents, parents, nobody ever even went. Like,
Yeah.
nobody stepped foot, right? So I was the very first person to even try and go. Luckily, I played sports, so that helped me kind of make it a little easier. But so I went to college, and I came back, and I thought I knew everything, right? I'd worked in the business my whole life. I was the only one to ever go to college. Like, I'm the smartest fucking guy in the room. And my
Right.
dad's like, no, like, all you have more than me is you have 4 or 5 years of school. And I've been, like, he goes, I went to the school of life. Like, I know a lot more than you do. But long story short, he could see that I was passionate about the industry. And so I think he gave me a lot of runway after a few
Yeah.
years to just do it my way, because he knew, like, I was going to go for it. Right.
Yeah.
And so I have a ton of, like, till the day I die, I'll give him that credit. And what I could have done differently is, in 1997, when my dad finally became the owner, right, bought my grandfather out, and at the same time he took on a 50-50 partner with Schnitzer Steel. Like, he only owned 50% of it now, but he was the boss, right, and was able to exit my grandfather. Literally, when I came in '04 and I look back on it now, he really only owned it without me being there for 7 years, right?
Wow.
Which isn't that long.
Not very long at all.
So, like, I look back, and, like, I was an asshole. Like, he had just finally got it where he wanted it, right? And he was building,
Yeah.
and here I come, and I think I know everything. And I
Yeah.
didn't.
Yeah.
Just, I was arrogant. And I look back on that, and I, like, the amount of grace my dad had to just put up with my bullshit for the
Yeah.
amount of years he did at the beginning, and allow me to make mistakes and try. Like, I look back, and I'll tell my kid, to say, I'll try and warn him, like, here's the deal, like, this is how it goes, and these are the lessons I've learned. But that was the biggest one, is you don't know until you actually sit in this seat and you do this job for
Sure.
5, 10 years, and
Yeah.
understand, like, what it all amounts to, right? So from
What do
my
they say
standpoint,
about what
like,
do they say about the crown and how heavy it,
yeah, he who
That's
wears the
you don't
crown realizes,
you
yeah, yeah,
you
how
don't know
heavy
you
it
don't
is,
know
right? Yeah,
until you're wearing it and
yeah.
you go, "Oh man."
Yeah, there's a lot of
This-
pressure on you, right? And
yeah,
I
right.
think that I didn't realize that until at that point, and I retired my father and mom in 2016. So it's been 10 years now. And we have a great relationship, right? Like, my dad was the best man at my wedding.
Oh
Like,
wow.
we're very close. But there was a lot of years at the beginning where it was a tough go. But he managed his way through it, right? And
Yeah.
so when I asked, like, Montana and Kaila, and I say, okay, like, what is the like is it tough? Is it like what is the challenges? What advice would you give to the people that are in your shoes, right? That are coming either back into the business, Kaila or Montana, where you kind of grew up in it and stayed with it. Like what's the good and what advice would you give people, whether it's females coming into the industry or whether it's just the next generation? What would you so my advice was I would give my dad more grace, right? I would have allowed him to just stay and be more involved than he was for a lot longer. Like I feel bad in some ways, but it worked out. But that would be my advice. Like what would you guys say, in your opinion, to the next generation? I don't care who goes first, whoever is brave enough to go first, like let's go.
Um, so I feel like this is like I've had this question asked before, and it was I think my same answer then. And I think like when you are coming in and your family's trusting, like your parents are trusting you to like take it to the next level or take over some leadership so that they can step back, you do feel kind of like you can do it better. Oh, like what can we do better? But I think at the same time, you have to also trust and honor what they've already built and kind of recognize what have they done that has made it to what it is today. And like, I don't want to change that, right? Like, yeah, there's things that I'm going to change, or there's things that we could do differently, or etc. But like, there's so much that my dad and my mom have done to get the company to where it is today that you have to like continue to hone in on and trust and honor that they've already put in the 20 years. So there's something right about that you don't have to change everything. And it's not about it's not us coming in and starting a new company, right? Like we're just taking it to the next level. So continuing the path that has already been put behind us and just making it keep going.
If you could do anything different, what would you do?
That's a hard one. I am very, very, very big on like, I mean, my role is customer success. So I have a tendency that when customers ask for things, I just want to be like, yeah, yep, we can do that.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And then I'll be like, hey, Brandon. And he's like, we can't do that. And I'm like, but why can't we do it? Like, it
Yeah.
can't be that hard. Um, so I feel like I would love to almost have like a customer advisory board. I've brought this up a couple times.
Hmm.
To where like you have people in the industry that are running yards, very, very successful yards, day in and day out, and they can give us way more knowledge, which we do. A lot of our features are customer requested features.
Yeah.
But I think having something like that to be able to, hey, what do you guys, we're thinking this. How does that actually play into what you need? Like with the AI, for example, like what do you actually need the AI to do at the yard?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because like we can come up with all these cool ideas that like tech people are saying in the space of AI, but like what do you actually need it to do? And where will it actually benefit you? Or where is it like kind of just saying that we have AI here, but it's not really beneficial?
Does it make you money? Like, and I think that's the litmus test on AI from when I hear people talk about AI is like, does it provide you with information that allows you to make better decisions, or does it make you money? And if it's neither of those two things and it's just a cool feature, like we'll work on cool features when we have extra time. Like
Yeah.
right? Like, but if it doesn't allow me to make better decisions, which in turn should allow you to make more money, or if it
Right.
doesn't directly allow you to make more money, then like let's worry about those other things first. Like let's check those boxes and then we'll work on cool features,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Let's get the ROI first.
Yeah. Okay, Kaila, your turn in the hot seat. Like, let's go.
So honestly, what came to mind as you were talking about it was more just like general wisdom than just company focus when it
Yes.
comes to aging and having new appreciations and respect for your parents. Because I think we all go through our 20s where we feel like, oh, our parents didn't do this right, or our parents didn't do that right, or I'm going to do this different, or whatever. And then you hit your 30s, or maybe it has to do when you had kids too, because my kids are hitting teenage years, and
Mhm.
you realize, wow, my
Mhm.
parents did the absolute best they could do. I mean, I have parents that came from very different backgrounds than what Tana and I were raised in. Like, we were raised wonderfully, had everything we ever needed. Both of our parents didn't always have everything they needed when they were kids. They grew up in very different backgrounds with very different experiences and opportunities in the world to them that we did. And I don't think you can quite realize that until you gain the wisdom of doing it on your own and with just aging. And then you suddenly are like, oh, I get it. Like, I get it. I get why they did it that way.
Yeah.
So that plays into the company as well, where I'm all gung ho to change things so quickly. Let's change all this marketing and let's do this, this, and this. And I want to change all of this. But you have to kind of trust that they've gained this wisdom and kind of buffer yourself with that and take into account like what actually needs to be changed. And we don't have to do it all at once. We can take things slow, change what needs to be changed. A huge thing for my dad and I was learning boundaries with one another. Me and my dad are very similar. So that causes problems between
Yes.
us because we
Okay.
will be stubborn and butt heads. And so early on for us was realizing that work stayed in like work categories for us. So like we talk about work in teams and on our work phone. And then outside of that, our personal phone line is for personal conversations. And once we changed that, that like changed the game for us, I think, Dad, don't you?
Well, the funny TikToks about crapping yourself. That's those can only be shared
That
Mom
on.
would
Yeah.
be really upset for
He's
you
gonna
right
watch
now,
this and be like, I
talking about shitting
literally
ourselves.
Yeah.
really mad.
The Duty family has a history of shitting.
Sorry, Mom.
She's going to be really unhappy
Kayla.
if we have brought that up.
Mom,
On
I'm
the
coming
next
to the
episode,
top, I
we'll bring
promise.
is it Tammy, right? Is that your wife's name?
Yeah, Tammy.
She's
Yeah.
very
Next
angry
episode,
right
we'll
now.
get Tammy's
She's gonna
take
be so
on all
mad.
of this.
Yeah, he would not be
I
happy that
can't
we had
believe
poop talk on the
She's gonna be so
podcast.
mad at you guys.
But
And
we
guess
keep
what?
that
I
for
can't
the
get in trouble.
personal text messages and the personal time and try to
Yeah.
lighten the mood up a little bit.
Yeah. So
The other
Kayla,
thing-
to your point, like, go ahead. I'll let you finish. Sorry, go
The
ahead.
other thing I was going to say as well is one big thing when me and Tana, when dad brought up, here's our options, we can do this or we can do this next gen thing. We were like, we want the company. Like, we want this. We want to do this. Which was a surprise to some of us, but we all wanted it. We were all on the same page. And our mom and our dad both looked at us and said, you don't want this.
You don't
You don't
you
want
don't
this
know.
life. And me and my husband have been having, I mean, like, there are times where we're like, wow, like, we did not know because, like, my husband's my boss.
Yeah,
That's tricky. Like,
it
you're
is.
talking about work all the time.
But
Like,
it's funny because like you and Brandon, like he's your boss. And then like for me and Zach's the director of support and I'm customer success. So I'm like, hey, I need you to like hop off the phone and call this customer right now. And he's like, you're not my boss. And I'm like, well,
Kinda.
yeah. So there's moments where I'm like, whoa, mom and dad really meant that. Did we want this? But so what I was going to say is what Brandon and I came to in conclusion the other night, we were having a talk about, it was a challenging day. We had a challenging time, there's going to be days like that.
Mhm.
And the conversation ended in this kind of company, working with your family, running your own company, running this company together. The highs are so high. Like, you experience highs and excitement that I would not have experienced anywhere else. Getting to do this with them, getting to do Scrap Sisters with Montana, getting to have those victories with Brandon, with my family. But the lows are so low. So because the lows are with your family, you're experiencing the difficult conversations with people you love and care for and have relationships outside of work. So you have to be prepared that, oh, I get to experience this incredible, incredible thing, but I'm also going to have to learn how to manage and cope with the difficult piece of it because you're going to have both in this kind of company.
it never stops when it's
Yeah.
family and you're all leadership. Like I have a crazy week this week and then we're headed to Oregon, which that is a high. Like we get to as
Yeah.
sisters go to Oregon
Travel
together
together, yeah.
and go to an event and take pictures of people and go do surf lessons and a wine tasting. And it's like, wow, that's going to be fun. But so like last night we were at the Rima Mid-Atlantic golf outing on Monday, and then I went to a yard tour yesterday. So I was home last night, and so we had like a couple hours last night, and then today, full day of work, and tomorrow a full day of work, and then going out of town. So I like wanted family time last night. I'm like the kids were gone Monday, Tuesday. Zach had to work on a customer's printer until 10 o'clock last night. And I'm like, well, but it's like that's what it is because he
Yeah.
can't ask his support team to do that work after hours, like they're off. But he knows that he either can work till 10 o'clock at night and get it done, or his customer can't print a receipt this morning at 7 a.m. when they open. So what's he gonna do? He's gonna fix the printer.
Yeah.
He just might complain about it
So,
later.
so what I take from it is, and I think you, like Kaila, you probably hit the nail on the head. Is you have to give the previous generation like their flowers, right? You got to give them their just dues. Is like you guys,
Absolutely.
and I've always said like if it wasn't for the foundation it was built, I never could have erected the height of the building that it sits on today, right? Without a strong foundation.
Yeah.
But you could build the tallest building, but if you don't have a strong foundation, then it doesn't really matter. The first gust of wind is going to blow the thing over, right?
Yeah.
And I think that the previous generations are where that foundation comes from, which allows you to erect the building as high as you want to, or as many people as you can get to come along and help you build it. And so giving them grace and giving them like the opportunity to like and in their time to turn the business over and to allow that next generation to come through, I think is super important, regardless. And this isn't just the scrap business. This is like any business, right?
Right.
Software, scrap, car dealership, you name it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like that previous generation, they've seen things you've never seen. They've felt things you've never felt. And you have to give them the opportunity to exit to a certain extent, on their timeline. But the biggest thing I take away from it too is, I made a conscious decision to not work with my wife, right? And that's because I've seen my parents work together, and my parents we just celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary like
Oh,
a
wow.
month ago. So they've been married. My parents grew up across the street from each other as
Oh,
children, right?
awesome.
So I mean, they fought and argued as neighbors. They got married when my mom was 17, my dad was 18, and they built. They worked in the business and they built and they did and they whatever, right? So, and to this day, they're still married, which doesn't mean there was not a lot of tough dinner conversations, like with my grandparents,
Oh,
with
yeah.
their siblings, and then me with my wife. My wife's a school teacher. So we live very different lives, which is fine. We don't talk much about work, but I've also been able to recruit a bunch of people that are kind of like my family now, right? Because that's what it takes to build a business. You got to have a ton of good people, right? And it just so happens like if you can find people within your family that fit, even better. Now you got a bunch of people you should be able to trust. But I made that decision. I had one brother-in-law who's now not my brother-in-law anymore, but it was in the business. And once my sister and him got divorced, that was an easy exit. I'm like, see you later. And now it's just me and a bunch of my friends, right?
Yeah.
But because I saw what it took to do that, and so I give you guys the utmost respect to be able to have all those family dynamics, and to still operate and still build, and then now go to the next gen, which I do want to give you guys a little bit of time to touch on that and kind of what does that look like. But to get to this point that you're at right now is not fucking easy. Like it's a hard hill to climb. It's probably the hardest thing you'll ever do, but it's the most rewarding because when it's like like I always say, if you don't give people skin in the game, it's hard for them to care as much as you care, right? But when your whole family's skin is in the game, when somebody kills the lion and brings it back to the tribe, like, and everybody gets to eat, it just doesn't get much better than that. Like, I'm sorry, like, I miss out on that. Like, I don't get to do that with my family. Like, that you guys do. So there is that component that I don't get. It's my friends and I celebrating, but when it's your family, it's a different deal. So kudos to you guys for being able to hold all that together. I know that's a challenging experience, right? And it's a lot of ego checking. Like Shon has to check his ego. Montana, you got to check your ego. Kaila, you got to check your ego. Your husbands have to check their ego and what's their role, and like
Yeah.
I give people that book, that Ego's the Enemy by Ryan Holiday. Like if you've ever read it, it's the best book. And it's probably great for a family business because it just talks about like how to like you can have a great life if you can manage your ego. And I think that book alone, that's not a hard read, but if you can manage that and your people in your organization can manage it, the how much you can grow is endless. And
Yeah.
so I think that you guys
I'm jotting
obviously
it down. I'll be
yeah,
ordering that for
yeah.
the
It's called
family.
Ego
Be
is
on
the
our
Enemy.
desk.
It's a great book. It's small. It
It will.
travels really well. It's an awesome read. But you guys obviously do a great job of that, and I think that it doesn't come without a ton of trials and tribulations. But obviously, your wife. I mean, there's a lot of you guys that are a part of this. So give me before we go, I want to hear about next gen and and whatever you want to talk about. The floor is yours.
I'll let the girls talk about next gen. I mean, other than what I said earlier about being fourth generation, which was a big shocker to us, and super exciting, and basically means that we've been doing this for our whole lives have been in this industry. Um, but I'll let the girls talk about what next gen looks like and what it means to them and means to their husbands. And
Kayla, I'll give you the hot seat first this time.
Okay. So really, I guess where I'll start with next gen is when my dad came to Brandon to ask him to come back. First of all, we knew it was going to happen. Do you ever have those moments in your life where you know it's coming, or like you know what's going to happen? You just have those feelings, and we knew it. And I had been saying to my husband, "You're never coming back. Like we can't all work together. Like we can't do it. I can't do it." And I actually was like really sick that week.
there's still some time she says that.
I was really, really sick. I actually ended up in the hospital with like really irretractable vomiting, bad thing. And that was the week they were meeting to talk. And I was like I just got home, I'm like recovering. And my best friend came over to stay with me, and Brandon went to meet with my dad. And Brandon came into the room to talk to me about it. And when he brought up the role that my dad wanted him to do and wanted him to step back in as, I saw like a light in his eyes and an excitement that I hadn't seen in a long time. And like in an instant, my heart completely changed. And I knew immediately this is going to happen. And I told the whole time as we were going back and forth talking about the options, we weren't sure which way it was going to go. I told everybody, I said that it's going to happen. Like it's going to be next gen and we're going to do this. I just knew it in my heart. I knew it was going to happen. Even Brandon, when I told him, I was like, well, we're going to do it. And I was like, it's up to you. I told him the whole time, this is your choice. Like, this is your choice as a human. I can't make it for you. Like, you have to make this for yourself, but we're going to end up doing it. And he was like, I don't think you're right about that. And here we are. So we're doing it. What it means to me is everything. I mean, it's day in and day out. It's our whole relationship. It's spending time with my sister constantly, which I love. It's being with the family all of the time. It's going on vacations and talking about work. It's exciting times where, you're all coming up with ideas, or like when we were at the beach house, we were just at the beach and it was the 4th of July, I think. And me and Tana were sitting on the top deck of the house. And I just had this powerful moment where I was thinking about the fact sometimes Tana and I feel weird because we aren't in scrap yards every day, and we're the scrap sisters, but like we aren't in the yard every day. And sometimes it makes me feel like imposter syndrome or inauthentic. And it hit me while we were on the beach house having a beach trip, not doing work at the moment. It just like hit me in a minute. I was like, we're in those yards every single day, actually.
Yep.
We are not physically there, but we are on the phones with our customers. We are on support with our customers. We're handling their inventory. We're handling their hardware. And we actually had someone leave a nasty comment on our social media the other day and said, all you do is interview your parents. And I'm gonna make a whole follow-up video on that
I
because
didn't see
my
that
God,
comment.
I deleted it.
she deleted it and I'm upset because I was gonna clap back.
Yeah.
Because oh my goodness, interviewing our parents is like 0.5% of what we do
Our job.
all day, every day.
Stay out of the comment section. Trust me. Like,
Yeah.
as a person who posts stuff that people I don't always agree with,
Oh,
like
you
I've learned.
get some hate though because
Yeah.
of your politics too.
Yeah. But I've learned to stay out of it. And all I just say is, I wish you the best. Have a great day. Like, I stay out of it because
Yeah, I'm like
you're
that
not
new-
going to convince me to change my mind.
Right.
I'm
Go
like that
ahead.
new generation where I'm like, oh, this is an opportunity. Let's
Yeah.
at them in the replies and make a whole video making a joke about it.
Yes.
Like,
That's a good
come on,
way.
let's do
Yeah.
it.
Uh-huh.
So it means everything to me. Truly, it means everything to me. It's giving me opportunities, the opportunities my parents didn't have as children that they made for us is now giving us the opportunity to give that to our children. So it's just, they created the foundation, like you said, and we get to continue on that. And it's just wonderful. So if we, as the next generation, can honor them and eventually let them have their exit when they're ready and they can feel so confident that we will continue running this company the way that they intended it to be run and honor it and honor them, that would be everything.
I love it. I love it. Okay, Montana. Good
Um,
good luck following that one up, but it's
What does it mean to me? So touching a little bit, my sister mentioned a little bit about like our parents not having like what we have, and to dive into that a little bit deeper, like my mom grew up in a trailer. Her dad didn't know how to read. Um, so like my dad did not like he always says they would go down and get cheese off a truck. Like they did not have money at all. Um, Neither one of them. They grew up not having a lot in life and knowing that that they were able to they both joined the military and then met there and left the military and they were able to take all of that. And now since then my mom has gone to college and gotten her degree and she's a extremely smart lady. But they've been
You're trying
able
to make up for the poop talk.
yeah. Uh-huh.
they've been able to create something that they could have never imagined having as kids. And we take that for granted sometimes, like we don't realize that. And now being able to take that and honor that and move it forward and figuring out what that looks like. What does the next generation of ScrapRight look like? Where is that headed? Where this is like an era of technology. I feel like there's like we're on that cusp of like tech changing. And what does that look like? Because I think all softwares are making that AI move and all of those things. And so I think we're at like that pivotal moment of moving into that next gen while also tech is so ever changing right now and figuring out like where being able to honor what they built and being able to continue to build on top of that and figure out as a family where is that heading. And what that means to me is like I want to make sure that like I mean we've got 500 plus customers that have ScrapRight and they all deserve a software that continues to grow with them. And they all deserve a software that continues to grow with their business. Most of them are adding second yards, third yards, fourth yards, fifth yards, and they have to have growing technology. And that's what kind of like this, we are moving into that and we're moving into being able to provide them with what they need to continue to moving. So our next gen is their next gen of software and their next gen of their family. I mean, most of our customers,
Most of
their
them.
kids are now taking over their yards. So it's cool to see that happening and to see the customers that we've had since 2007, 2008 that now their kids are in there and their grandkids are in there. I know one of our big customers, his son just started working this year in the yard in a pretty big role. And so it's really cool to see that happen and to know that that's also where our software is moving and being able to just give our parents the exit that they deserve after they've built something that they could have never imagined building and
I
moving
like
into
it.
the next generation.
I feel like you guys have a unique connection with your customers is because the scrap business, while, they like to talk about, it getting consolidated and whatever else, there is still so many operators out there that are family businesses that are in their second, third, fourth, fifth generation, right? And you guys have that ability to connect with them. So the next gen is a 100% makes sense. And it should give people, a level of trust in what you guys bring to the table, and I think that your passion for the industry, how much you guys, really, like, what's at stake for your family to give them a quality customer experience is probably the number one selling point that I would really hammer down, right? And because it's genuine, it's not like a, hey, buy our software, we'll make you more money. It's like, hey, we're a family business, you're a family business, like, we want to grow with you. And so I feel like you guys are on that track, and there's a genuineness that I feel when I talked to Shon the first time at Rima, like, really stopped and talked to him, and I was like, I felt that, right? As a family business guy, I'm like, yeah, you guys, I could get along with you guys. So I feel like that's important. And I'm big on, like, the whole purpose of this podcast is generational courage, because I feel like it's you guys had to have the courage to take that deal and run with it, but your dad and your mom had to kind of have a strong enough belief in you that you guys had the tools to be able to do it, right? And you guys had the wherewithal to make that happen, because there is no bigger high than experiencing that with your family. And it's super important to remember that when those low days come, because as you have experienced, and there's more to come, right? Because that's part of the deal, is remembering all the good times that you get to have as well, and not just, folding up shop and being like, all right, I can't do it. It's like, it's easy to remember the hard days. It's a little more difficult to remember the easy days or the good days. But that's kind of what we have to dip back into. So I appreciate you guys taking the time. I love what you guys are doing. It's a true family atmosphere, and that's what I can really appreciate. So thank you for taking the time.
Hey,
Thank you for making it happen and taking the time out of your guys' busy day. And I wish you nothing but the best. What's the best way if somebody's listening to this and they're looking for software and they are trying to, like, explore what the options are? Who do they get a hold of? How do they get a hold of you? And we'll go from there.
Call Montana.
What's Montana's phone number? Not your cell phone, but, like, what's the number?
I was about to give it to you, actually. Everybody gets my cell phone number.
However you guys run it, like, do whatever. Don't let me tell you what to do. Yeah.
Let me see here. I actually have a work cell phone now. I couldn't tell you where that work cell phone is, actually.
We just added work cell phones.
I love it. Separate that family and work, right?
Okay. I have two phones on me at all times now. I always have both.
Okay.
And I have, like, we've had them now for probably about a month, and I'll be talking to customers. I'll be like, yeah, just call me. And then I give them my personal. I'm like, oh, well, whatever.
Yeah.
Can
I ask the question? Go ahead.
No, go. You're good.
When are they going to come out with a cell phone that you can have two SIM cards, so you can just carry one phone and have two phone numbers that ring
Tell
together?
you on there what it is.
Do we need to have two cell phones? Like, can we just give me two SIM cards? They have SIM card farms, like, that have these VoIPs that can just dial a zillion phone numbers at one time. Can you just give me a cell phone that I can put two SIM cards in and run two separate phone numbers, please? But anyways, go ahead. Sorry, Montana.
Yeah, so you can call me at 717-377-4010 or message me on LinkedIn.
I love it.
My personal cell phone.
Keep your eyes out for the Scrap Sisters. Thank you, Shon, for taking the time. Shout out to Tammy for holding the fort together behind the scenes. And I look forward to seeing you guys next time at one of these conventions.
Absolutely. Can't wait.
Thanks, Brett. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
Absolutely.